All right, so welcome back. I am Jason Yarusi of Yarusi Holdings. I am a multifamily investment firm here south of Nashville in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Since 2016, we have acquired 18 multifamily assets valued a little bit over 180 million, totaling about 1,600 plus units. And today we're going to talk about location. Why location matters for you and your investment criteria. But before that, if you like what you hear, go down there and hit that like and subscribe button. Give us a follow so you can be alerted when we have great multifamily content come in front of us. So why does location matter within your multifamily investment? Well, ultimately, you can win really in any market. You can ultimately win in any market depending on how detailed and how just delegated you are to that market. Lots of times I find that investors fail because they try to go too wide, too fast, and they honestly don't know the ins and outs of the market. Our first four of our first investments were all in Louisville, Kentucky. And we got very dialed in there and we got very specific. We got very specific that we only invested in the south and south central submarkets of Louisville, Kentucky. So let's talk about some of the reasons why we like that market so you can see how we looked at a market. Well, the market overall, the MSA of Louisville, Kentucky has over 250,000 people. Now the MSA is the Metropolitan Statistical Area, right? So it might not always just be the city, but the city and the surrounding areas that touch it, that may come in there, that may rent there, that may work in those locations is over 250,000 people. We want that. It's an important metric because we don't want it to be so limited on people that if we have a 100-unit building and it's only a 2,000 person town, that almost 2 out of every 100 people have to live in our building. We want enough people that can suffice to come there to fill these buildings, to fill and keep our buildings occupied. Next, we are looking for really population growth. And so it can be population growth 2-3%. So you've seen a lot of movement, a lot of people moving from different states in and out. U-Haul reports do a great job allocating this, but we want to see growth and we want to see constant, steady growth, not only just this year, but over the last 5 years, 10 years, that people are going to continue to come here and it's going to continue to allow the city to prosper. So Louisville traditionally always has 2 or 3% rent growth. Next, we want jobs. We want jobs and job growth. And what's important is not so much always just the job growth, but the job diversity. We want to have ample employers. So there's not one employment sector that is going to bring down the entire market, that it could be a steel town like we've heard, or an oil town that goes bust and really takes down the town. So for instance, Louisville, Kentucky, it has just a vast amount of companies. It has GE, it has FedEx, it has UPS, it has Amazon facility stores, it has Churchill Downs, it has Humana, it has Aetna, it has other access to the University of Louisville, the Yum brands. It has a number of different resources that come to that market. And little known fact is that Louisville stands as really the center point for the country, that you can get from New York City to Louisville and Louisville to Seattle. It's basically the same time frame. So it's a great shipping point. That's why you see a lot of shipping carriers really book out of there because of the access to the rest of the country. Next, we are looking for landlord-friendly states. And we really want this because we want to be an investor. We want to provide value. We want to have a lot of ways that we can create not only wealth for ourselves, but wealth for our investors as well. But we don't want the market, the city, and just things that are out of our control to really hinder our performance. I grew up in New Jersey, and of course, there's a lot of reasons why New Jersey can be great. But one of the things that can make New Jersey difficult, especially when COVID happened, is that tenants who were not being good tenants could not be evicted, right? So we want to be in a landlord-friendly town, a landlord-friendly state where we can work to improve our properties, but also have the state behind us. Next, we are looking for supply and growth constraints, right? We want to be in areas that are high growth, but are limited on supply. And that's one of the reasons that we really dialed in the south and south central submarket. We dialed in because those were, we were looking for working class, blue collar properties, blue collar tenant bases, and that's what was served. We were looking for BC assets, and that's where a lot of them were built. But we were also looking for where there was limited supply. The current vacancy was about 3%, and there was also no new construction coming online. So it was going to hinder really the ability to keep up with the demand for units there, but it would also continue to drive forward on our properties to really bring up the value of our properties. So it made it a great place to invest. Now, I can go into a lot of different things that can really talk about other markets, but if we really focus on those top criteria, it can give us a great step out of the gate to take action, not only today, but for the future, to get really dialed into where to invest, why to invest, and how to succeed in multifamily investing. All right, so I am Jason Yarusi of Yarusi Holdings. If you like what you hear, go down there, hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for following us. We'll talk to you shortly.